And we're live, I think. Hopefully, we're live. What else? What else? Let me just minimize this and pull this up. And yeah, I think we can properly start now. First off, hello Takami, hello Fisher, and hello Sun. Uh, I welcome you all to the stream. Uh, Honestly, I think Otakami kind of summarized the points I'm going to bring up here pretty well. But I think I should more or less elaborate, like detail that point in order for it to make sense. So that's what I'm going to be doing, at least here at the start of this podcast. Let me just read something here. RVN's games depends on if there's some gameplay mechanics. We're going to be discussing that. Shigureui, Lolikami Requiem creator, just dropped a new Loli song, Lamau. I'm gonna have to listen to that later. So just like a Fisher, I'm going to have to ask like for the name of the song so I can like check it out. But anyway, back to topic. Let's pretty much define what I'm talking about, okay? Just so we're clear and just so this discussion can more or less try to avoid as much as possible misunderstandings. So, uh, I'm not talking about like games, like undeniable games that have a visual novel like presentation. And this means like both RPGs, like Persona, just anime games in general with a VN presentation like Seran Kagura, as well as games that like seem like pure visual novels but that have some minor but still notable gameplay mechanics. Essentially what I mean are those management type games like Honey Pop, Tropical Liquor, Volcano Princess, uh Days with Aino, etc. Right? So we're excluding those. If a game has actual gameplay mechanics, be then more involved, like a fighting game, or again an RPG, or an action game, or even some more simpler game mechanics like a strategy game or a more management sim type of game. Like if it's just an undeniable game but with a VN presentation, that's not what I'm talking about. Those are, well, as I described, obviously video games. I'm also not talking about what are called kinetic VNs, which are undeniably not games. If you don't know, kinetic VNs are essentially visual novels where you don't make any choices. You just uh, essentially see a story progress, but you can't change its outcome. It has a established beginning, middle, and end, and you're just along for the ride. Those pretty much everyone agrees that those are not games. They're more like glorified books or audio books with a more visual presentation. So, what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about games like, for example, Fate Stay Night, where the whole thing is just you reading and seeing the images pop up on screen and occasionally making one or other choice. Or even games like the one we're playing, Chaos Head, where not only do we have the elements that I already described, but we also have the more kind of side mechanic of the delusions, the extra scenes you can get, which influence the story somewhat, right? So, games that are just pure visual novels or they have secondary, but still very minor gameplay mechanics added to these visual novels, like, for example, Chaos Head, Fate Stay Night, Our World is Ended, like the non-existence of you and me. Those are what I'm talking about. And before somebody asks, Danganronpa is also excluded from this because I believe that its gameplay it's involved enough, even though it's still mostly a glorified VN, for it to qualify as a quote unquote real game. I'd also like to clarify that, obviously, like Otakami said, the whole point of this isn't to. Because a lot of VN fans don't like this argument in the first place because a lot of the people that make it try to make it to discredit or to dismiss visual novels by saying they're not real games and thus don't deserve attention. But that's not what I'm saying here. Like, I do think that visual novels are valid, that they their own way to tell a story. And heck, I even believe that in some cases, they are the most appropriate way to tell certain stories. There are stories that only work or that work better within the VN format. But I'm going to argue on this stream that they're not games. Because, at least to me, and to most people I've talked to about this, what separates video games specifically from other forms of media like books or movies or music, etc., it's the element of user interaction. Your actions within a game shape how it will progress, or if it will progress at all. Like, there are states of failure, there are like various choices that you need to make, various challenges to overcome in order for you to progress. That's what a game is. The element of interaction is crucial to what defines the media. One moment, please. Sorry. Uh, Hello, Movelea. Thanks. Welcome to the stream. And like the reality is that even with the choices that you take in visual novels, and even with things like bad endings, if you do poor choice, right? Like a state of failure and the ability to influence the story, I'd argue it's not enough interaction to actually qualify it as a game. Because even in like walking simulators, right, that a lot of people argue that shouldn't be games either, you're at least like somewhat involved. You, again, even in those games, there's generally a state of failure that you can achieve. Like, you need to press buttons to perform actions, you need to explore, you need to actually move your character in a specified direction and listen to NPCs to know how to progress. Sometimes you have to resolve a puzzle, you know? So, yeah, walking simulators are definitely games. But visual novels, I'd argue, are not because, um, yes, there are failure states in most VNs. I said that. But, where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. there's not enough interaction in VNs, at least in my opinion, for they to be classified as games. Because while a lot of people who are on the other side of the argument that try to argue that VNs are games will point to VNs where you're constantly making choices and with multiple branching pathways, and where sometimes the choices you will have a time limit to make the choice, etc. Like, let's be real, that's not how most VNs work. Like, in most VNs, you can go hours or sometimes even chapters, like entire chapters, without making a single choice. And generally, the choice is just which of these characters do you want to romance? Like, which route do you want to go? Which of these characters' stories do you want to explore more, etc. It's essentially the equivalent of buying a book with the introduction to a story, and then from there you have the option to progress that story by buying a multitude of different books that end the story in various different ways. Like, that's not a game. And most visual novels are like this. And most visual novels, like even in the ones that have elements of choice, the element of choice is generally very limited. So yeah, I think it's like pretty clear. Like, I think it's like, at least to me, maybe you guys have some interesting counter arguments, but to me, there's way too little interaction in most VNs to classify them as games. Like, most VNs aren't the examples with a lot of choices and like tension that most people try to mention. Most VNs have very few choices, and those choices are generally very obvious. But what about those VNs? What about those VNs with a lot of choices, right? And choices that actually matter, that influence the story in various ways, both major and minor, and don't just take you to like various versions of the same story. What about visual novels with various fail states, etc.? Or again, with more minor secondary mechanics like Chaos Head. What about those? Well, I'd still argue that there is very little interaction even in those visual novels. Because even in the visual novels with a ton of choices, you can still go for minutes and minutes on end without really interacting with the world. Like, without doing pretty much anything but just reading, you know? And even more, these more secondary mechanics, a lot of the times are just glorified like choices, just like in the normal VNs, right? For example, Our World is Ended. They have a mechanic of catching thoughts where you need to, within a time limit, kind of decide among various thoughts that will like move throughout the screen what you need to say. And that's just a choice with extra steps. Let's be real. Uh, like, there is an element more of tension of there being a time limit and of you needing to find the correct choice. But at the end of the day, you're still just making a VN style choice. So a lot of the times, those side mechanics are nothing more than just you just making a VN style choice, you engaging with that gameplay style with extra steps. And even when it's something a bit more No, I was going to say that the chaos head like VN like delusional mechanic is different, but no, even that is just a glorified VN choice, just with a bit more flair, you know? And so the only way you can interact with the world is by making those minor and major choices that kind of affect the story. But even these choices, like if you see, they aren't really that much interaction. A lot of these choices have very minor effects on the story, generally just like altering one or other piece of dialogue, or like influencing uh like a hidden gauge that will decide which route you go, like which character route you go to, right? And even the major choices, again, if we only count 10, then any visual novel is just that thing I described that in the beginning, where you can go for hours or entire chapters without making a choice, meaning that the interaction, the valuable, the genuine, the meaningful interaction that you have with the game world is essentially very minor, very limited, very small, you know? And so I'd argue that that really isn't enough to qualify them as games. Like, if the whole media of video games is defined by its interaction, then something that, even at its best, has this little interaction, this little meaningful interaction with the user and the product, like, I don't think should qualify as a game. Now, again, that doesn't mean that visual novels are any lesser of a media. Like, if I had to like choose between playing through all the routes of the game on screen, Princess Evangile, which would take me like hundreds of hours, or play the latest Ubisoft, I'd obviously choose Princess Evangile in a heartbeat. But I do think that it should be separate, you know, that it should VN should be its own category, like of entertainment medium, of an artistic expression, instead of just a subcategory of video games. So in a way, I am actually elevating VNs because I think they should be their very own, like, separate thing from like books or games, and just be their own form of art. That's what I think. But for now, let's go over some of the comments. Sorry that I haven't been responding to them. I really just wanted to make this point in its entirety. And now I'm going to see some of your contestation, some of your counterpoints. Okay. Okay. I do wonder now though. Kirby's epic yarn famously doesn't let you die. If you fall into a bottomless cliff or hit an enemy, the most that happens is you lose some points, and you can beat the game, I'm guessing, with 0 points. Yeah, but I imagine that in Kirby you have the element of exploration. Like, you can't progress. Like, you can't fail, but you also can't progress until you do a certain amount of actions, to find certain items, or to you solve certain puzzles, or defeat certain enemies. Like, even without that failure state, it's still a game because it still requires a lot of interaction. So yeah, I'd say Kirby's Epic Yarn is still a game, even without a fail state. Dr. Amazing has a great video about the subject, and it's very hard to decide what is a game. That's a good point. That I'm at the end of the day applying my own subjective views on this. But one good argument that someone could make, not the only one, but I'd say one of the best arguments someone could make to this is, oh, but where is the line drawn then? And why should you be the one to draw it? Like, why is this way too little interaction? This is enough interaction to me. Those, I still feel engaged. I still think that I'm changing enough. I still think that I'm making a difference and properly interacting with the world. So what's your counter argument to this? Why should you be the arbiter of truth? And if I think that this is enough interaction for it to be a game, even if a simpler one, why am I wrong? And I don't have any answer to this. Because again, this is just what I think. This is my opinion, my take, my 2 cents on the subject. But I do understand that other people can and should have different opinions. That this is at least on this topic more of a matter of opinion, of subjectivity instead of something objective. Another good argument is okay, but at least in VNs, you are making meaningful choices. For example, in Princess Evangile, it has very limited choices. You get one choice per 2 or 3 chapters, but those choices alter significantly the story. The first half of the story is pretty much the same no matter what you choose, but the second half is entirely different depending on your choices on the first half. Not only the girl you get with, but uh their whole story as well. There are some stories that involve childhood trauma, there are some stories that involve more family matters, ones that involved things like arranged marriages or even a confrontation with criminals. The story can go wildly different places depending on your choices. And a lot of people could argue, yeah, and I think this is more meaningful interaction than in some walking scenes. Where sure, I'm pressing more buttons, but essentially I doesn't matter what I do. I just arriving at the same place, no matter what my choices are, or I'm arriving in very similar places no matter what my choices are. And so, sure, I have more interaction technically, but how meaningful is that interaction? And if we're judging by those standards, then yes, we could argue that visual novels are more games than some games out there. Even if they're not more games than something like Mass Effect, for example, which I don't think anyone would argue. Mass Effect infamously lets you make a ton of choices that at the end doesn't matter. Everything just gets decided by a singular choice you make at the end of the game. So what really has more meaningful choices? The VN, in which you need to make a series of correct choices in order to decide on which route you're going on, and that even has a fail state where you can not progress at all to the second part of the game. You can be stuck and end up not going to any route to end the game early. Like, aren't those choices more meaningful than whatever bullshit they pulled at the end of Mass Effect 3? And I do believe this could be one of the best counter arguments to what I just said. But continuing on. Uh, I think people who want to defend VNs by saying that they're real games are insecure how others perceive VNs, which is pointless because those people will never take VNs seriously no matter what. Yeah, Fisher is right here in that there are some arguments that are just not worth engaging in. Like, there are some arguments that are just a waste of time, pretty much just talking to a wall. Like, you never convince someone who legitimately dismisses visual novels to like think that they're real games or to even think that they're a valid form of media. So you may as well not even lose your time, especially nowadays, because especially nowadays and on the internet, because as we'll discuss not on this one but in a future podcast, debates are dead. Like, internet debate is dead. Like, engaging in pretty much any internet debate is pointless nowadays, at least in my view. But again, that's a subject for another time. I'd say Higurashi isn't a game, as the only interactivity is pressing a button to advance dialogue, and there's no branching. Yeah, if there's no branching pathways, then we just go back to the kinetic visual novel classification, which we already established, not games. For me, VNs are to be seen more like books than games. That's also an interesting way to view it, to more or less see it as another form of book, like audiobooks. Like the same way that we have regular books and audiobooks, we could have regular books and visual books or VNs, visual novels, you know? I think that is also a very good way to look at it. Wario Land 2, maybe others haven't played, also has no death. Again, as we were discussing, uh, a failure state is like it can help improve the interactivity of a game, but it isn't strictly necessary for it to be a game. Uh, so then it's tic tac toe, not a game because all the choices are really simple and obvious. Uh, Tic tac toe, is that the one where you do like stone and paper, right? And like scissors and compete like that? Because if so, then I have some arguments to defend why visual novels aren't games, but simpler games like tic tac toe are. But again, I'm not too familiar with that nomenclature. So if that is what you're talking about, then we can get into an interesting argument about that. If it's defined by interaction, having interaction ought to mean it's a game. Yeah, but you have to wonder just how much interaction. Because, for example, again, if I buy a book and at the back of the book, it's saying, oh, you can continue the story in multiple ways. If you wanted to continue in this way, buy this book. If you want to continue in that way, buy this other book. Like, is this interaction? Like, does that suddenly make the book a game? Like, that's the point we're trying to make here. Like, it's not just about interaction, it's about how much interaction. A simple game, almost certainly a more complex story than game. Yes, like I would argue that they are more closer to books, they are more closer to something that rely on its story and visuals, like a comic book, for example, than a video game. Like, I'd say that is less of a video game and more of a like complex, more of another form of comic book, a form of complex storytelling, something like that. I remember a video essay argued that books are an interactive medium, that the fact that you have to actively choose to turn the pages and keep scanning the words as opposed to something like a movie. Okay, now we're going too far. Now this is mm, again, this is what I mean, because if any interactivity makes a game, then Like, what's the fucking point? Like, you could argue that anything is a game then. No, it needs a certain level of interactivity for it to be a game. But what is that level? You know? Uh, anyway, books are games. Oh my fucking god. Oh fucking. Anyway. Oh my Uh, oh, okay. That this changes how books and movies are felt in genres like horror. Again, I don't think it makes the book a game, but I will agree that like books are certainly more interactive than movies, exactly because of the reasons you said. So, for example, it's easier for a book to be scary than a movie, exactly because you feel more involved in the story and you're using your imagination. So, what could look silly in a movie with just the right description could invoke an image in your mind that's truly like uh, terrifying, you know? So I will agree with that mm, at least books are, yes, more interactive than movies. Yeah, I feel like the better medium title would be interactive novels, but they didn't go with that. Fair, fair. Oh yeah, there's definitely some games with less changeable stories than some VNs. I'd say that most games, especially nowadays, are like your choices matter less than in most VNs. Like unless you're playing a kinetic novel, I'd say that your choices, even the simpler ones, matter more. Even in those more limited choice VNs than in most like games nowadays, especially AAA. So that's not true for all games, but I definitely say that choices in visual novels are generally more meaningful than choices in most modern video games. I watch internet debates like every day. Uh, when I say that debates are dead, like what I mean is like what's the point of a debate nowadays? Because again, not getting too much into it, but my point will be that uh, internet debates are essentially useless because all you're doing is just praying to the choir. Like you're not going to if two content creators are genuinely arguing, and both of them are really passionate and like really convinced on like their own opinion on a topic, uh, a debate will generally not change either of their opinions nowadays, even in a minor way. And neither will it change the opinions of their audiences. Like it's very rare for debates to actually end up in a consensus or in a meeting halfway. Usually, all that happens is that you see some people at best, like arguing peacefully, but still not really getting anything out of it, or like at worst, literally screaming at each other. You could say that debates are important for you to understand like the other side of the argument, but at that point, you could just watch a video essay on their side of the argument and get a similar effect. Like my point with the whole debates are dead will be that essentially there's no point in debating anymore because like you're probably not going to gain anything out of it, and neither is the person debating with you. Also, once again, the electricity in my house is having issues, so if the stream just suddenly uh like goes off air, you know what happened. No, that's rock, paper, scissors. Okay, so I was confusing things. You're thinking of Rochambeau. X and O's is tic tac toe. Uh, Tic tac toe is the 3 by 3 grid where players alternate placing different X or O and try to get 3 in a row. Yes, I would say that this is a game and visual novels aren't because there's a level of interaction. You're competing with someone else. Even if the choices are like simpler, there's an element of tension, of strategy, of like you trying to outsmart your opponent, you know? So there's definitely, just because of the presence of another person and the element of competition, that already makes the choices, like, so it has a lot more choices, a lot more interactivity, and a lot more meaningful interactivity just as a result of that. So I would say yes, that even tic-tac-toe, as simple as it is more of a game than most visual novels. What the fuck? I think the idea of a book series where you have to decide which version of the sequels you buy would be really interesting. Yes, I agree. This would be pretty cool, but still not a game though, and that's my point. I'm not saying that this is not a good idea. I love that honestly, but yeah, my point is that just because it has that element of interactivity doesn't make it a game. But on that subject, I really dislike people's reactions to like that manga's ending. We never learn, right? Because what the author did was pretty cool. Like he made multiple versions of the ending. It's a Heron series, and one that develops pretty well the relationship between the main character and pretty much all the other girls, to the point where you can see him getting with any of them. So what the author did was, okay, parallel realities. Like we're going to have one ending where he ends up with this girl, one ending where he ends up with this other girl, and one ending where you know, like why bother with this whole like which of the girls is going to be the winner, etc. Whoever like whichever girl you prefer, like just read like their version of the ending, you know? I think that was a pretty cool idea, and so I really don't understand why was so badly received, especially in a Heron series. I think that more of them should do it, and that this whole thing of "oh, my waifu won and you lost," it's silly. Is life just a game? We're not discussing philosophy here, buddy. This is an anime channel, man. Anyway. Imagine it getting 5 layers deep and there's a branch every time. So there's like 25 books, but most people only read one path through them. VNs have descriptions, visuals, and sometimes audio. So VN is not exactly a book, at least in a traditional way. I'd say it's could be a type of book because again, audiobooks exist. So we could have that so that VNs are a type of book, like another way to make a book, you know? But anyway. Oh, I wasn't saying books are games inherently. It was just an interesting passing thought. Oh, okay, okay. So then, fine. Actually, that thing with choose your sequel could be a way to publicize VN's physics. Well, then, now here's a good idea. You know what? Yeah, that could be pretty. That could be pretty a pretty cool way to actually make physical versions of VNs. You know what? That's a great idea actually. Uh, well, yeah, obviously, if people are unwilling to change, they're unwilling to change. That's almost tautological. Uh, was there ever a time where people would actually change each other's opinions in a debate? Not really. It's always been a publicity thing. Oh, hello, Kodokunasu. So what you're arguing is that debates, like by my logic at least, were always dead, since people generally didn't gain much out of them. Since most people like weren't willing to compromise or to like change their opinions. So you just change the topic of oh debates nowadays are dead to debates have always been dead. You know, which fair. Funny thing about tic tac toe is that it's so simple that there's only one correct way to play. Two-player VN, fertile. No, 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 no. We're going too deep. We're going too deep. If one player knows it, they win. If both players know it, they'll tie. Again, due to the reasons I already mentioned, even if it is a simpler game, I'd still argue that it's more of a game than VNs. So that is an interesting thought. You've been making a lot of interesting like propositions this stream, but again, still not a game. Honestly, with tic tac toe, it's super easy to get a draw. No one wins. Visual novel, where you trade off controlling the love interests and the choices you make affects what both players see in their playtimes. Wait, I need to read this again. I need to understand how exactly that would work. A visual novel where you trade off controlling the love interests. Okay. And the choices you make affects what both players see in their playtimes. Oh, okay. So it would be more like a live playthrough, live double playthrough, where one would control the love interests and their choices. So the love interests would now have uh like a lot more, like they be controlled by an actual player and be able to make their own choices. And like you would also have the protagonist which can make their own choices. So you have someone controlling one or multiple of the love interests and someone controlling the protagonist, and they could kind of alternate in order to continue the story like in a more multiplayer type way. You know what? I was hesitant about the idea, but then that you convinced me. You convinced me. That actually sounds pretty cool, honestly. I've seen. I feel like I've seen OVA adaptations of VNs like this before. What was the manga you were talking about? I'm talking about We Never Learn. And with the OVA adaptations, it's nice when they do this, but it generally doesn't end up well because they need to more or less kind of summarize the story way too much. Like Cran, sometimes dozens of hours long story into like 12 episodes. And a lot of these episodes have to be dedicated to various different endings. So, yeah. It's an interesting idea, but generally its execution is less than ideal. How could I be late to this banger obscure anime stream? Welcome, Big Pew. I can see getting annoying if the only change is the final chapter. Then it's like, why did the MC choose the one person in your chosen ending when all the same things happened? But again, the point here is that hello everyone, how are you? Thank you. Welcome to the stream, Otakami. The point here is that since it's a Heron series, uh, pretty much every single one of the endings makes sense because various chapters are dedicated to the various girls, right? Meaning that he is as close to, uh, since he is equally close to all of them, and all of them have feelings for him, and he like is like he has a good relationship and some budding feelings towards all of them. So the story realistically could go uh, into any of the endings that the author made. So like the point is that they all make sense. The author was very good in doing this, and so like people complaining again, especially with that execution about there being multiple endings to please the fans of the various girls, to me it's silly. But anyway, A two-player visual novel where you each play yandere, competing for the same character, and you have to murder the other player while wooing the wife. You know what? That's also a great idea. Yeah. You're making it seem like turning from a VN to a more unchoosy medium can wreck the experience. Oh well, then I don't think I'd be sold on this Heron to start with. Like, you prefer it when, like, a Heron is an actual competition, and as the story goes on, it's like the more the story goes on, the more it's clear who the protagonist is going to choose. The more it's clear who the main heroine is. Like, you prefer that experience, and if so, then I can understand. If it's just a roll the dice, I don't think I'd be so invested. Again, that is a more fair critique, I'd say. Speaking of ass anime adaptations, there's that infamous incest anime with the twin. Yeah, that is exactly what I was thinking when I was saying that. uh, I think in that case I would prefer VN, because there you are making the story focus more on the girl you want to go for. Again, I didn't like their arguments against like the arguments that most people had about this ending. But yeah, I'm being more and more convinced by yours, Movela. You're making some great points on why you wouldn't like that ending. So yeah. Imagine if the Yandere idea was like a murder mystery where the MC is like a heroine protagonist and you have to try to figure out who's the other Yandere as you murder all the other love interests. That's quite the darker idea, but I think it could also be pretty interesting. Oreimo also had a story where the MC could have gone multiple ways. The anime just did the sister route, while I think the visual novel adaptation did the other routes. Yeah, sometimes they do this. For example, the same thing happened with, I think, we were talking about this Sword Art Online, where there's a game where at the start of the game, Kirito and Asuna get into a discussion and they essentially break up. This is to essentially allow the player to have a lot more choice, you know? So he can go and stay with his favorite girl, and if he doesn't particularly like Asuna, or if he does, then he can go and like patch things up with her. Some types of games like to do that, and I do think it's pretty interesting. Yeah. Well, not always. I've read good heron stories where everyone wins if they are going to go with and being to everyone. Um, yeah, again, you're making some really good points there. Infamous incest anime, or no. We're talking with the whole S anime adaptation, Yosuga no Sora. It's not a problem, Moveleia, as long as the studio adapting commits to one route. Unlike on the anime I just mentioned, where it tries to do every single route at the same time. Again, I think it can work. It's just that the execution is generally not good. Like, if you're going to do that, you should have more than just 12 episodes. Ideally, like 50. But if you just have 12, then yeah, you barely have enough time to adapt one route. So like, in that case, I agree. Hey, School Days was really good. Okay, I'm not going to get into that argument. School Days good. Anyway, no, the main characters in Oreimo aren't twins. I forgot the name. It's Yosuga no Sora. We just invented Yandere Simulator. Oreimo is based off a light novel, a book. Is that actually what Yandere Simulator is like? It's what it was supposed to be like. Like, actual Yandere Simulator is essentially just an asset flip. Well, we can't just remake Yandere Simulator, but the develop. Well, we can just remake Yandere Simulator, but the developer isn't a pedophile. Wouldn't that be nice? Oh, wait, have you watched 9? 9, the anime aired last year, and it's a VN adaptation. Let me get the. Where was it? Where was it? Yeah, the notepad. I'm going to have to. I haven't watched that, and I'm going to have to add that to the list. Okay, perfect. And now I think we are more or less finished with that topic. So we should get into. Oh, wait, let me just see one thing here. Uh, yeah, I was thinking of having this on another podcast, but like we pretty much just concluded the whole debating is dead topic, right? I think I made my points. Even though I wanted to avoid this, I think I made the points that I want to make pretty well here already. So I'm going to take both the debating is dead topic and like our visual novels Rio games topic from the list. What else? What else? Oh yeah. One sec. Yeah. Okay. Blah 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 blah. There are like two projects that were trying to be that, but I think one of them was cancelled. School Days was the best straight anime I watched last year. You mean 9 hours, 9 people, 9 doors? I only watched queer anime otherwise. Okay. I haven't played it yet because I'm lazy. I haven't played it yet because I don't have space on my laptop. Fair and reasonable, yeah. Good luck trying to find that anime, lol. When I tried to search online in English subs, all I could find in English were blatantly machine translated from Chinese to English. I never been someone to give up so easily, so I'll definitely try. But yeah, another topic I wanted to discuss with you guys is more personal. Not in the sense that it relates to my personal life, but it's more related to the channel actually. Because I've seen quite a few people like suggest that I play like non-anime games, or at least like anime adjacent games and not just outright anime games, right? But you address something here. Like, Muvele, how the fuck the game is less than a gigabyte? My man, you don't know what it is like to have a PC that's truly like full to the brim. You know, like 1 gigabyte is quite a fuck ton when your laptop is about to like have its memory completely filled. Like, let me tell you that. Anime adjacent stuff like, for example, Nier Automata, right? Like, I was already talking about this on a video, not on a stream, but there are stuff like Nier Automata, like Teen Titans, like, for example, Devil May Cry, where it's not anime, but like if I talked about it on this channel, no one would bat an eye. Like if I just suddenly start talking about Avatar or like Teen Titans, right? I don't think anyone would find that strange because that is pretty much so close to being anime despite not being anime that like it wouldn't be a problem. It wouldn't be weird. That's what I mean, like anime adjacent. So there are games like that. There are games, for example, like uh again, Devil May Cry, like uh for example, what's the name of that? Nier Automata, like I said before, Bayonetta, various fighting games like Street Fighter, for example. Where if I play them for the channel, I don't think most people would bat an eye. Like, as there's some people out here that were like wanted me to play like Sonic games, for example. So that's what I mean. And even like not just anime adjacent games, but outright not anime stuff. Like, for example, Blasphemous, right? There are some people that wanted me to play Blasphemous. Or I forget what the other game was, but they essentially wanted me to expand my horizons and not just cover anime games and anime content. Um, no, no one was like upset that I played Ultra Kill. Like no one gave a shit, you know. And that's the point. Like I feel like a lot of people either wouldn't mind or would want me to um like not just play anime games, not just discuss anime topics, but to actually expand my horizons and play stuff like that. And I hesitate because I like to keep a theme with this channel. We're obscure anime, not obscure anime adjacent, like Big Pew said, or obscure not anime, you know, or even popular not anime stuff. So I like to maintain a theme. It's more of a personal thing. It's more of me kind of hesitating to do this due to my own personal reasons, and less of no, people would get upset. Like I don't think anyone would care even if I played something like completely out there. Like for example, let me see that this here in my list of games. If I played Fear and Hunger, for example, on the channel, I don't think anyone would care. I don't think anyone would care if I play like Dead Cells or uh, like Disturbed or anything like that, right? So it's less of a thing of no, people will get upset and more of a thing of me hesitating to like go outside of the channel's theme for the content. So that's why I hesitate a bit, but I just wanted to know what you guys think. I know, again, some people want it and some people don't mind, but like I like to directly ask you guys, what are your thoughts? Should I play non-anime games as well? I wouldn't stop playing anime games, but should I play non-anime games as well? Should I do non-anime content as well, or should I just stick exclusively to anime or at most anime adjacent stuff? Like, what do you guys think? And while you guys think on that, uh, let me read some comments here. This is just then discussing. Okay. One day we'll get a nonary series anime. One day. Like, isn't every game in the nonary series like a commercial flop? Like, I think you should stop dreaming so much, buddy. No, this ain't gonna happen. Anime adjacent. Give me a break. I know it's too full. I had 0 bytes on my C drive like yesterday. I'm about that. Like, so you do understand what you mean, you know what like Muvelea means. Bro, please organize your hard drive. I'm working on it. Was anyone? What's the best VN to anime adaptation you ever watched? The best VN to anime adaptation. That's a bit difficult to like say right now, but I think I'm going to go with a controversial one and say Dean Stay Night. Like I plan to make an entire stream about this, but during Dean like Studio Dean's Fate Stay Night, like that anime from 2006 is goated. I love it, and I'm going to defend it to my last breath. I'm going to die on this hill, you know. So yeah, that's my answer for now. Obscure anime adjacent, obscure donwa, Dead Cells is goated. I would pay to see a Street Fighter 6 stream. Maybe feature some Street Fighter 6 ranked, or maybe Dead or Alive. This could be interesting streams. I don't know if I would do a Street Fighter 6 stream because I'll be honest, I'm a bit too miserly to spend that much money, but you know, maybe a Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, maybe I would do that, you know. Street Fighter 6 is no, I don't want to spend that much money. No, I don't. Dead or Alive is like definitely on the table though. I'd be totally down to see any games here. I'd watch anything regardless. I think if it's something you're passionate about, go for it. I wouldn't mind, honestly. You already said you want to keep the theme, so there's no issue with some variety. It's fine by me, but only in like 20-30%. Fair. Then, bro, so it's still about anime in the end. The name of the channel, I mean. So, yeah. Basically, I think I'm going to go with what's the like word here? I think I'm going to go with the fishy approach. I won't be too scared to like play non-anime games. Obviously, I'm going to finish the games I'm already playing before even getting to those. But like, I'm going to allow myself to play like non-anime games too. Like, uh, what I think I'm going to do is that I'm going to allow myself to we have 3 gaming streams like every week, right? One of those streams could be for a non-anime game sometimes, or for an anime adjacent game, and the other 2 streams could be dedicated to anime games. So we still maintain the theme, but we allow me some more variety, which a couple of people not only wouldn't mind but even want to. So yeah, I feel like this is a good approach. Yeah. Have you tried clearing out app data local temp? If you never cleared it, you might have like 6 GB wasting space. Yeah, that's fair. Nobody's paying $70 for that mid game. I would totally agree with you if Dean's Fate Stay Night actually kept Shiro's monologues. He is a completely different character without his internal thoughts. The TV version of Unlimited Blade Works is a bit better. You know what? Yeah, fair. That's a good argument. Yeah. That's like 3 under nights. Yeah, if I had to choose between paying $70 for Street Fighter 6 or just buying Under Night in Birds, like I would just buy Under Night in Bird. Heck, I do like Big Pew said, and like buy 3 of them. I would give one to my brother and one to my best friend. I'd prefer to do that than like playing than paying for Street Fighter 6, you know? Oh, by the way, Mr. Obscure Tsundere fucking swear to Christ. I hate that. I hate that so much. I saw a how to gatekeep one-on-one video with blue archive thumbnail, and I didn't watch it because I thought of you and I didn't want to cheat on Obscure Tsundere-san. It's not like I be mad if you watch other channels, Baka. That was so stupid. I hated myself for doing that. No, but seriously, just go watch that video. It's fine. Like there's no problem with watching other content creators. Like, come on, man. Even I'm like semi regularly promoting other people on my channel, so yeah, you should definitely watch more people. uh, there are people who could have bought 5 silk songs but chose ZA Legends instead. Oh god, yeah. Like, I'm sorry for all the people that bought the new Pokemon instead of a good game or a couple of good games. Uh, anyway, you're mad that my Oshi likes me more than you. That hurt me to type, and I bet that hurt to say. Yes, yes. I'm, I'm seriously considering unalivening myself now. I'm kidding. Where's that comment calling you a tsundere? I see nothing here. I would never be jealous of a 3D content creator. I only stand 2D content creators like Niro-sama. At the top part of the chat, hit the arrow next to top chat and click live chat. It must think I'm a spammer or something. Yeah, I always like use that live chat option because I don't want YouTube deciding what I need to see or not. So yeah, good uh what's the name? Good tip there, Big Pew. But yeah, oh god, I had more images here and I even forgot to show them to you. Before we go to the next topic, let me show you the other images, the other lovely images for Princess Evangile that I had prepared for the stream. Okay? Here and now let's go to the next topic. Yeah, you got duped. This is a ranking screen now. No, but seriously, there was a dude that asked me to has been like he asked me to how do I say this? He has been like requesting this list for a long time now, and like I never found a good opportunity to make it until today because I'll be honest, I actually have quite a few. Like I actually have very few. How do I say it? Topics. I actually had very few topics for today's podcast. And even some of the topics I do have, like the one I just wasted here, like the whole debating is dead, I actually want to save for another podcast. So, yeah, this is going to be a ranking stream now. And it's good that you're tricky. Asking exactly what this is about because I'm going to explain it. Essentially, how this is going to work is that we'll be ranking not the characters, but the worlds the worlds in their like entirety. So, for example, uh, we're not going to be comparing character by character and deciding like on a more general sense which IP has the most evil characters. Like we're going to analyze the whole world and of the like piece of media that we're talking about, and we'll rank then by how which world is the most or the least evil that I've covered on the channel up until this point. And there are quite a few like IPs that I cover that take place in our world or in a world very similar to our world. So uh for these ones I decided to like not take into consideration like too late there Fisher. Uh Bye for now. Uh we'll be taking into consideration kind of the slice that we're shown. So, for example, Supersonical and uh, Yanderella, right? They take place mostly in the real world or in worlds very similar to our own world. But if you ever seen Supersonical, like the piece of the world that that story covers is a lot more ideal, a lot more cutesy, a lot more uh like full of good people, while Yanderella is Yanderella. So even though they take place in very similar worlds, for those cases where the stories are supposed to take place in, again, our world or in a similar world to our own, we will be considering like the slice of that world that is focused on in the story to kind of decide. So yeah, that's how the list is going to work. But first, I'm going to read a few comments before we get started. Before that, let me just address this. You could use a tier maker page or something in the chat screen. Like, no, because this isn't supposed to be a tier list. I know a lot of people like refer to those as tier lists, but there's a reason I refer to them as rankings, because there aren't tiers. Like, I'm actually uh like making worst to best here. So for example, in a normal tier list, you could say, oh no, the works on this tier are like they're very similar in terms of their quality to each other, or they, I think, have the same quality. That's not the point I'm making here. In my rankings, like if I put something uh like above, like one example above the other, that's because I mean that it's in whatever aspect I'm comparing them, the one above is better, it has more of what I'm talking about than the other, you know. So that's why I don't call this tier list, and that's why I don't have a tier list here. That's because what I'm trying to do is different. What's good, twin? Mainstream anime. Hello, fucking. Is that another channel armor? Like it's. Are you fucking? God damn it! Welcome to the stream, mainstream anime. Fucking swear. Anyway, let's read some fucking comments here. Oh, YouTube being dumb again. Mods, can we ban this obscurity? Is Black Souls going to be number one? No spoilers. Holy shit, YouTube search engine is useless. I can't find Pew's video. What do you mean? I already said that. I stand obscure anime is evil clone. Mainstream anime. Mainstream dongua. I think it starts showing you all the comments after you click the live chatting. No, I mean the video you made. Okay, they're just discussing. Doesn't the Berserk world literally runs on evil? Like literally. Uh, like kind of, but again, we're not going to be discussing Berserk because it's every IP I covered, and I never covered Berserk, so it's not going to be here. Also, I need to make clear that only the only IPs that are going to be here are the ones I covered extensively. So if I just mention them on a video, uh, they won't, like they probably won't be here, and it's only IPs that I've finished. So for example, like Our World is Ended, since uh I never finished it. Like even if I made some gameplay videos about it, I never finished that game, right? So it won't be on the list. And neither will Arc Knights, because fuck Arc Knight. You know. So yeah, just to clarify. Blah, blah, blah. Poor A Fisher, he has crippling addiction to something. He's trying to get sober, but he keeps relapsing. I have to. Fuck it. I don't know if I love the comments here or if I hate them, I swear. Okay, I'm back. Welcome back, A Fisher. So not every wait 1 sec. So not every IP. Thank God's law. Okay. Uh I already explained this. Berserk World doesn't exactly run on evil, but it has a godlike mechanism born from humanity's concept of evil, which they materialized in order to justify the suffering in their lives. Basically, Berserk runs on evil to the same extent that humans are evil. All of the monsters and evil magic in Berserk comes from human sin and weakness in some way. I'll get stronger with more followers eventually and shall overtake obscure anime. Honestly, that wouldn't be too difficult. I'll be frank. Like being real here, if you actually make a channel and start uploading, you probably overtake me. Like I wouldn't be surprised if you did that in like a couple of months or weeks. You know, let's be real here. A mainstream anime summer, you have come in person to the enemy's doorstep. How about? I'm just built like that. Okay. I'm going on my training arc now. Fear the day I come back, obscure anime. Bro thinks he's conquest. Okay, I'm caught up, so let's finally start this. What? Oh, okay. Fuck it. First off, the Idol Master. U149. Like let's be real, this is just a cutesy anime about like children dancing and becoming idols. Like the saddest thing that occurs in this anime is like a girl doesn't want to wear a skirt, and like that's a whole conflict. Like obviously that's a problem, but like let's be real, this is a very ideal world, this is a very happy world with a lot of like with a lot more happiness than sadness. So that's why it's at the bottom of the list. Like this is the least evil IP I ever covered, which is why it's here. Number two, Supersonical. It's a bit more evil, I'd say, than like Idolmaster, just because people are constantly trying to take advantage of poor Sonico. But fortunately, she has like her producer, which like he foils their plans. Uh, like most of the time. So yeah, their world is a bit more evil than Idolmasters, but in general, most people in Supersonico are good, and most of the problems aren't that serious, and like most of the solutions are very idealized. So yeah, it's not that evil. Someone asks, is the rightmost girl the one who wanted to wear pants? Let me see. Uh, no, is the second to like you know the leftmost girl? It's the girl to the right of her. That's the one that wanted to wear pants. Uh, third place without within. Because yeah, the protagonist she goes through like a whole bunch of unfortunate events. Like her world is definitely a lot more realistic and a lot more sad uh, than our own. Still, again, the problems that they face aren't that bad. Like no one is dying in this world. It's just a girl like struggling to make her like art career work relatable. So um Again, we're still in the very ideal worlds like section of the list. None of the ones I'm going to show here are that bad a world to live in, you know? So that's why it's in this spot on the list. Next up, we have without wait, no. The no existence of you and me. Uh I'd say that this world is a bit more sad and a bit less ideal because this game deals with problems like social anxiety and like hallucinations, mental illness, etc. But it's still, at the end of the day, a game that's mostly cutesy and like about the protagonist like overcoming these issues and becoming a better person. And the issues themselves aren't again like things like people dying or like suffering from something super debilitating like. So again, this is definitely darker than everything else, but it's still pretty it's still pretty okay, you know. Sorry, many of you commented, so before I start with the list, like I'll be reading some of these. I don't think he means like subscribers. Maybe like that thing in hyperdimension. Oh hell no. Then that dude can fuck off. I'm not letting him take my life. Truly the light souls of Emas or something like that. Pinterest Chan. She loves playing Genshin Impact and Valorant. Wait, fuck. What the fuck? Without within is the evilest world. You gotta know the lore. Fuck. Swear. Wait, are you saying all these games take place in an ideal city? Arknight's reference. I should ban you for that. The worst world to live in is ours, because I failed to get the new fake Kuma on a gacha I don't even play. That's quite the interesting reason to be pissed off at the world, but okay. Moving on. Next up, we have Uma Musume. Now, if you watch the show or play the game, you know that this is where the kind of like problems start to get more physical. We have the very clear chance of like injury, of like some of these athletes like receiving an injury and getting like not being able to compete at all. Like obviously the anime is a lot more ideal, so this is kind of just a threat. Like no Uma actually gets injured to the point of not being able to compete, but it's implied that this can happen and it gets pretty close to happening. We also deal with a lot more sad themes, like again, um, a lot of the girls like get really depressed or have various issues that you need to deal with in the game and that are shown pretty well in the anime. Like again, they have more idealized conclusions, but the issues are definitely more serious. Most people in this world are nice, but again, we are getting into worlds that aren't so ideal, where the problems are more serious, which is why they're moving up in the list. Uh, Number 6, tropical liquor. And this is mostly here because this game, if you ever like seen my gameplays or even just played it, you know that again, most people are nice, that uh like the conclusions are very ideal, but we have a lot more serious issues that are tackled. We have again like athletes injuries, we have people like with terminal illnesses, we have like people who trying to follow their dreams but can't, like in Without Within. So we have a lot of the problems of the other, like some of the most more serious problems of the other worlds, all here. Again, most people in this world are nice, and the outcomes are generally ideal, but the problems are certainly starting to get a lot more serious, even if it may not look it due to the cover art. Also, it's kind of the whole premise of the game is kind of fucked up. Like, let's be real. Like, you're essentially getting girls drunk so that they are more easy to, like, so it's more easy, so it's easier to extract information out of them. Like, you're literally getting them drunk so that they will tell you things that they wouldn't review otherwise. So that's a bit fucked up of a premise. So I'd say it belongs like quite a bit above the others in terms of evil. uh, Number 7, Love at First Sight. Things here again aren't so ideal. Like, we have various themes of in this game, for example, discrimination. We have like depression, bullying, and like abuse. What else? What else? Uh, yeah, this game just deals with a lot of like very serious issues, and in a very non-idealistic way. Like, it still in general has a happy ending, but it's not without its bumps, and it's certainly not without we don't get there without consequence. Like, you can see even in like showing the character herself. So it's definitely one of the darker uh like IPs we covered, even if again still on that generally nicer uh tiers instead. Next up, number 8, Excel World. Again, I'm just going to be repeating myself if we keep going like this. So again, we deal with some again we deal with some very serious issues like bullying and mental health, and like mental scars, and like blackmail, and you know, a lot of stuff like that. Again, most of the people in this world are like uh, good, but there are a few evil bastards here, and some people that are just more like non-ideal. Like, the protagonist has to go through a lot of really like sad events in order to progress through the story. Again, it's not quite the like ideal resolution. Like, there is a lot of uh like violence, there is a lot of consequence to the development. It's certainly a darker world, even if again more idealistic than some of the other ones we covered before. Next up, we have Sakura Angels. And like, this is where we start to get into like more the darker stuff, even if, as you can see by the thumbnail, it's still very much idealistic. This world includes things like death, things like serious injuries, and fighting, and like actual um like evils that are trying to end the world and manipulate the weak. And so there's generally a lot more evil in this world. There are like a big evil, like villain. There are like monsters. There's like the implication of death and the reality of serious injury. We have people being manipulated, etc. So again, still a very ideal world where things reach a happy ending at the end, but uh, again, we're certainly getting into the more serious, the more darker settings now. Next one is like Atelier Ryza, and same thing here. Again, generally very ideal world, generally a very like happy world, as you can see just by the thumbnail. But we also do deal with some serious issues. We deal with issues of uh like we actually do have, even if off screen, an entire species dying, not really, but being like heavily, their population being heavily reduced. We have, I think, a species actually dying. We have some various events that happen throughout the story that are pretty sad or pretty dramatic. We even have the threat, even if it isn't realized, of a lot of people who we even know dying. So, yeah, again, very ideal still, but we certainly have the implication of evil happening in the background, of tragedy happening in the background, or of potential tragedy being on the horizon if we don't stop it. So, yeah, it's a very ideal world with an implication of tragedy and evil in it, you know? So that's why it's in this spot on the list. And again, mostly due to being more serious too in it, the problems it tackles. Um, what else? What else? Oh yeah, let me um what the, oh, okay. It's just that I wanted to show you guys the full image. So we're going to stay here a bit just so you can get the full picture and to the next one. But this one I'm going to pause for a bit, just BRB, and then we'll continue. Okay, I'm back. And now let me just read some comments and we'll continue. Uh, First off, welcome to the stream, Gamoro. And I'm very late to the party, but I see visual novels as a way to tell a story more than a game. When I want the entertainment a game gives, I don't go for VNs. It's more like reading a manga. You essentially arrived at the conclusion I had for that topic. That like uh, visual novels are less games and more of another way to uh, tell a written story, like another form of book or comic book, you know? So you pretty much arrived at the conclusion I already went through. Now we're kind of ranking the um, IPs I covered by how evil their worlds are. Blah 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 blah. Wait, no one calls Idolmaster Imas anymore. I never seen anyone do that. What? I was joking when I mentioned Uma. When is the Uma Musume career-ending injury arc happening? Hopefully never. You evil monster. Can't believe the game that's worse than Honey Pop is at sixth place. I almost shed a tear, lol, hearing the athlete story. I mean, it's not a best games rank. Oh boy, the other VNs of this author are also kinda dark. Teaching feeling is great. TH. Too bad the author is a low key xenophobic schizo. Is she? He? Are they? I I didn't know that. I'm going to need some citations before I believe that. It's not that I think you're lying. It's more that like that those are some pretty big accusations to just throw at the person. I like some more proof before I believe that. Uh, that feeling when a Norwegian guy got arrested for playing Teaching Feeling, which even Markiplier has played on YouTube. No, he hasn't, but you're positive that mainstream YouTuber played it. Okay, that was this game. I thought it was Blue Archive. No, Sakura Dungeon better than all of the others. The Atelier games usually are pretty chill worlds. The Dust trilogy is a bit somber and melancholic though. Okay. Yeah, it's a choose your pet story, a modern way of it. Oh, IPs by how evil their works are. Are you only counting VNs? No, no. We are counting anime, we are counting games, we're counting VNs, and pretty much everything I actually covered. I talked about in depth and finished. Except for Arc Knights, because fuck Arc Knights. Again. Anyway, moving on to Volcano Princess. Uh, to not keep repeating myself, it has a lot of the same issues as before, potentially. And there is also like various tragedies that actually do occur. Your wife actually dies at the beginning of the game. Uh, and you sustain a serious injury. There's the implication of various bad things happening throughout the world, like the whole de-evolution phenomenon and even worse. And your daughter herself can go on pretty dark paths if you are a neglectful parent, which is at least very accurate. So yeah, don't be a neglectful parent. Number 12, Blue Archive. And I know what all the fans are going to like say, oh, but what about volume F? What about volume F? Look, it's a singular volume, and while some pretty bad things happen to the students, I don't think anyone named actually dies. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think any named characters die. And again, things are resolved. Like even Mika, like for how evil the things she does are, and morally reprehensible, like she still redeems herself and tries to do better. Again, some pretty bad things can happen in Blue Archive. Like there are some very depressive and sad stories. There are serious injury is normal in this world, though generally played more for laughs. Like some pretty serious situations can happen, but let's be real, Blue Archive is mostly a good world filled with good people where silly things happen. It can get more serious, and there is some, well, a lot of evil lurking, and some pretty bad, tragic stuff can happen. But in general, I think most players will agree that it's um, uh, like like the world tends more to the good than to the bad. Wait, did you put Blue Archive above Nikkei? If you mean that Nikkei is more evil than Blue Archive, certainly. Like Nikkei is far above on the list. Blue Archive's world is a lot less evil than Nikkei's. But anyway, moving on. Oh, I just wanted to show the full picture again. Let's admire Hina's thighs for a bit, and let's move on. Uh, Number 14. Wait, what the fuck? Uh, no, no, actually. Number 13, Light. And yeah, if you just go by like the good ending routes, then again, it's a very nice world. There's again the implication of evil with the whole then trafficking dragons thing, and with some of the like dragon policemen being a bit more brutal, you know. But in general, it's a very ideal world where problems get resolved and people are happy. There's more good people than bad people in this world, and it's generally pretty ideal. But there are definitely a lot more evil people in Light than there are on pretty much every other IP I mentioned. And again, some of the like bad endings especially include people dying or losing their memories or being traumatized. One of them includes a lot of people dying actually. uh, so it's a world that's definitely tending a lot more to the evil than some of the other ones. A lot more dark things happen, but they happen mostly in the background and they're resolved mostly in an ideal way. And generally, there are more good people than bad in that world. Again, it's quite a bit darker compared to the other things we mentioned, but not to the level of some of the other ones. Number 14, Butterfly Affection. And yeah, if you see my playthrough, you know that while it's a more contained setting, like it's not full worlds like with Atelier or Volcano or Blue Archive, like it's a more contained personal setting. Both of the people involved are pretty evil. Like it's still a romance story that ends at the end of the day with like the main protagonist having a very cool and caring like monster GF, but both the protagonist in his notes you can see that he starts having some pretty dark thoughts about the girl, especially when he starts seeing her more like a girl. He like the transition to him seeing her more like a pet and then he's seeing more her like a lover is pretty disturbing. So the guy is certainly pretty fucked up in the head, and the girl is not that much better either. Like she too is willing to do some pretty fucked up stuff to get with the protagonist, including poisoning him and like literally mind controlling him. So yeah, it's definitely a pretty darker world filled with darker people. At least the slice that we're shown. Again, it's still generally a very cutesy romance story about a guy taking care of a monster girl and her falling for him, etc. But it's certainly quite a bit more fucked up and evil than some of the other ones. Number 15, Hayore Nyaruko-san. And a lot of people are going to be like, what? What the fuck? How is this? How does it in any way compare to what we just went through? But trust me, like Nyaruko has again the implication of evil. Like a lot of people like to say that the story doesn't respect the whole cosmic horror theme and just uses it more superficially, but I don't agree at all. Like if you strip away like the whole cutesy look, you see that this is a and the more like jokey events, you see that this is a story about incredibly powerful and evil beings coming to Earth to try to destroy it. And the only reason we're still alive is because like one of those very evil and destructive beings just so happens to like its entertainment so much that she wants to defend it against the other evil beings. So like yeah, when you start to actually think about the setting of Hayore Nyaruko-san and what would realistically happen if Nyaruko ever got tired of Earth's entertainment, you realize that yeah, it's quite a bit darker than it seems, and it does respect the whole cosmic horror theme. Number 16, The Grey Garden. More the same. It's essentially just light where you have some implications of very bad things happening. You have some tragic events in the story, tragic backstory and lore for the world, but mostly good people. Uh, blah blah blah, etc. Again, it's just essentially everything I said about light, but tending more to uh the dark. You know, essentially just get all I said about light and think, but a bit darker. You know, it's pretty much just that. Number 17, Goppos check. And yeah, I know, it's pretty ridiculous thing to say that, oh my god, how is this in the bottom of the list when it's a series literally about like the German soldier army and things like that. But this is quite the like idealized look at it. Like literally, just so you have an idea, you have a route where you literally convince the National Socialist German Party to stop the world conquering like ambitions and start becoming a world power in entertainment, you know, literally stopping World War II completely. Again, it's still pretty dark and some really bad things happens because we're still playing as the National Socialist German Party. So yeah, it is just by virtue of that and some things that happen in the game. Uh, more evil than all the other ones, but given like the more idealized cutesy execution, it doesn't go so far as to be actually evil. Number 18, Project Cat. Again, a more self contained kind of universe, but still different enough from our own to not be just another version of like our world. But again, some pretty awful things happen. Some people die. Plus, making people gay, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that was a trip. That was a fucking trip, man. Anyway, but yeah, we have some people dying, some demons like trapping uh innocent girls in a world of suffering forever. Uh we have like people's lives being kind of like ruined by the presence of curses and like people being manipulated. uh and again various potential tragic outcomes, but in general it's still on the lesser evil side of things. Because again, even though there are demons, it's one of those Japanese settings where even most of the demons are good people. There's definitely evil demons, just like there are evil people. And again, various tragic and very serious things happen in the story, but it still generally tends a bit more to the good than to the evil. Just barely, though. We're really getting into the darker games now. Though people commented enough that I think I should read them before continuing. I literally can't read that. Wait, okay. This is one is not a game but a TRPG, but Necronica is a peak misery maxing IP. It's quite beautiful how miserable it is. Punishing Grey Raven's world is absurdly evil and miserable when it comes to gachas. It's basically the world before Necronica, which is just a notch less misery and disaster. But because humans are still struggling, on neck, it's already over and hopeless. Wasn't the female main character abused or something? Like, are you talking about the Grey Garden or like which one are you referring to with that? A girl that wants to poison me and mind control me just to stay with me? Waifu God damn it, you people. Ah, yes, another RP that's really dark despite its appearance is Ray's Reverb. It's absolutely a Gunner gacha, but whoever knows the story event of Mirai is just heartbreaking. To give context, Mirai comes to another world that only dead heroines can come to. It's an alternative dimension that the protagonist gets into through his dreams. And in the dimension, the heroines failed and died, which imply its original timeline because the timeline got reset at the start of the game. And Mirai, she does not belong there because she's not a heroine, so she's causing problems by her existence there in the space. So she has to disappear from the space. So that is pretty dark. Mirai did die in her world due to her house collapsing. She wanted to be a swimmer and had dreams. What broke me so hard was when, in the end, she had to leave the dead heroine world and see her mother crying and mourning over her in the Jesus Christ, that is really dark. Saying that she just wanted to have one more normal day with her, and Mirai having an internal dialogue thanking her mom, saying she has to be strong, as her mom breaks into tears. It was a very heavy scene of Mirai seeing the scene of her death and her mom facing it. Then, so we already passed the point of more evil, less evil than World War II. No, I'd say we're strictly less evil still. But anyway, moving on. Number 19, uh, Little Witch Nobeta. And we're going to have to start speeding things up because it's getting quite late. But yeah, pretty much just Volcano Princess, but turned up to 11 in terms of the potential tragedy like actually happening. The war being very clearly shown in your face. We having teams of people literally abandoning their bodies to become stronger. Uh, and like not to give too many spoilers, but there's quite a dilemma at the end that while it gets solved in a pretty idealized way, it's still not without sacrifices. So and canonically, Nobeta, even though the game is not too gory, she dies very a number of very horrible ways, like throughout the story. We even have a whole like side story going over that, and it's pretty dark to say the least. But yeah, it's definitely one of the darker worlds here. But again, especially on the protagonist side, there's a lot of good. There are still good people fighting against the darkness, and for the most part, winning and coming to a ideal conclusion. But yeah, it's definitely a more balanced world with both evil and good. Number 20, price. To the few people, very few people, hmm, that actually saw my playthrough of this game, um, like you see that it has themes of drug usage, of like denial of death, of like deals with demons and people getting fucked over by these deals, sacrificing everything just to like see their loved ones again. Like it has themes of terminal illness. Like it's the first of our non-ideal worlds, you know. So yeah, it's definitely a more tragic story, uh with some good characters in it, like some people who are well intentioned or some people who are genuinely just trying to do their best for the people they love. But it's generally one of the uh few IPs here that is non-ideal, where like there is no happy ending, you know. So that's why it's a bit more uh up the list. Number 21, Deer. And same thing, but like now with themes of familial abuse, body possession, uh like abandonment, and like of with a lot more bad and good endings, where a lot of awful things can occur. The death of children is also featured and implied, even if not shown directly. And again, the game has no really good endings. It has a lot of bad endings and a bittersweet ending, which is why it's on the spot on the list. Number 22, DDLC. Do I even need to say anything? Themes of self deletion from the game twice, themes of like uh reality distortion and the existential dread of like being manipulated at your very core, or seeing the world you exist in like literally be revealed as a game or crumbling before your very eyes. We have themes of people literally being outright deleted from existence. Yeah, this game is really dark. Let's just put it that way. Number 23, Tied Up. Again, various themes of familial abuse, of self deletion from the game, of like uh bad decisions causing a lot of terrible consequences, both emotional and physical. We have a whole world essentially based on the protagonist's traumas. Again, just really dark in general. And again, it's another one of those games without a happy ending. So while there are some good people and even some good monsters, as anyone who seen that playthrough can tell, which was a pretty funny part of the game. Uh, and some really heartwarming moments too. In general, it's a pretty evil universe that this game takes place in. So yeah, it definitely goes to the spot on the list. Number 24, Wada Nohara and the Great Blue Sea. Oh boy, our first game with grape in it. But yeah, I don't need to say anything anymore, do I? Like just the presence of that, the unavoidable presence of that, and the whole themes of war and misunderstanding, causing like terrible consequences of familial abandonment and like mental and emotional scars and like people actually dying of like uh people becoming crazy, etc. It's just despite the cutesy look, it's quite a dark game. Okay, I'll just say that it's a very dark game despite the cutesy look. It at least this one, despite the many bad endings, at least has a somewhat good ending. But even that one is kind of bittersweet. And again, you have to go through the bad endings to get it, and a lot of really fucked up stuff occurs in this game. So despite there being like a lot of very good people, and at the end, it's like finally resulting in a good ending, is definitely one of the darker settings here. Number 25, Akemita. And yeah, a lot of people die. A lot of people are have their bodies turned into demons against their will. Like there are themes of like village justice, of people like uh enacting justice on an innocent because they think that they're evil. uh we have various tragic events happening, again a lot of death, and in general it's just a very sad game with a lot of genuinely evil people, or people becoming genuinely evil and doing horrible things. Not just people having horrible things happen to them, but people genuinely becoming scum. So yeah, that's why it's at the more or less the middle point of the list. Number 26, Monster Musume. um Now, before you before you get mad, before you say what the fuck are you talking about obscure anime, listen. Like if you go and see the lore, you know that a lot of people die in the world of Monster Musume, especially before the like monster human contract. Humans before that used to be kidnapped a lot by various species and used as essentially like put in human farms in order to facilitate breeding and continuation of that species. There's a lot of grape into in Monster Musume. Okay, there's also like monster trafficking, which is essentially just human trafficking, since the monsters have human-like intelligence. We have themes of terminal illness, people dying, like drug abuse, and like tragedy, even if sometimes played for laughs. So yeah, Monster Musume is one of those settings that doesn't seem too bad at first, but when you get into the nitty gritty and start actually think about it, it's pretty dark. Yeah. So that's why it's on this spot on the list. Number 27, Narciso. It's literally a game about like terminal illness patients. Like you literally play as a terminal illness patient, And the whole point is like the acceptance of death, because again, it's not one of those more idealistic worlds. Like, there's nothing you can do. You as the protagonist know you're going to die, and the person who is with you is generally just a terminal patient that's going to die slightly before you. You get to see their bodies deteriorating with time, and they like acknowledging that their time is running out and trying to make the best of their lives before they go. Uh, like, it even deals with like children that get terminal illnesses. It's just a very depressing game. Like, I think it's one of the few games that I played for the channel that genuinely made me cry, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. So yeah, it definitely goes to this spot on the list. Next up, Trials of Mana. Again, just like with the Monster Musume example, it doesn't seem too bad when you're playing, but again, war, a lot of people dying, mental manipulation, like literally people being like deformed against their will. There's a lot of tragedy, both on the side of the protagonist and the villains, a lot of death, actual human trafficking and slavery. It's definitely and the ending itself, no matter what you do, is very bittersweet. I'm not going to spoil it since we're currently playing it for the channel, but yeah, I guarantee you that the ending of this game is not going to be like the normal fantasy ending of, oh, and then they beat the demon lord and we're happily ever after. So yeah, again, doesn't look like it, but is definitely very dark, very evil. Number 29, Criminal Girls Invite Only. Oh my god, it's just going to fucking um keep this, it's going to keep happening, right? It's a world that doesn't look evil but is very evil. Like, we're literally in hell. Like, we're literally beating up people who are convicted criminals of some of the worst shit imaginable. Pretty much every like girl in this game is a sinner of some kind who has done a lot of horrible shit, including like hoarding wealth and like not caring from like their fellow person, being aggressive and beating people up, uh like literally manipulating their own flesh and blood to get out of issues. And like, yeah, the whole story is about these girls essentially trying to overcome the sins and become better people so they can get out of hell and reincarnate. And uh even your protagonist isn't that good a person. He's trying to get these girls redeemed, sure, but the way he does it is by force. The girls, every single girl that's recruited doesn't want to listen to the protagonist at first, and so he has to convince them physically to follow his orders. It's even like a mechanic in the game. And let me tell you, they are absolutely not enjoying it. You know, so yeah, this whole game is just super fucked up. If again, you don't even need to think about it too much. It's pretty blatant, despite again the cutesy art style. Now, what else? What else? Oh yeah, let me like read some of the comments and then like I'll continue with the list. Oh, I remember Hayes. Is this game finished already? Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about Goppels Chan? Oh, no, 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 no. It's never going to be finished. Like let's be real. The author just abandoned this project. I'm sorry, but yeah. The very next event story after that was in another Dead Heroine universe. Every time he visits, it's another one, but canonically it's known as Dunskate Chronicles. The MC had a daughter, but that daughter was an artificial human made to combat the sins, the main enemies of the game, and she was only born out of desperation. She was trying to make so she exists in the real world because, again, it's a half dream, half reality from the protagonist by transmitting these disasters into the real world. So she feels like the only man that should be by her side is against her. And she feels unloved and unwanted as she fights against everything so she can exist. Yeah, again, not as tragic as the other one. Uh, at least not as depressing and sad as the other one, but equally tragic is what I mean. I'm surprised this isn't higher. I and unfortunately I don't know what you mean. Like, but I'm going to assume it's one of these. And yeah, a lot of these last few ones you could argue are I should have put higher. But anyway, short answer to the title is heck no. You're paying to read. That's just a digital book. I think that's a bit reductive, but we essentially arrived at a conclusion at least similar to that. Uh, like in our discussion. Also, welcome Arma again. The DLC isn't that dark, to be honest. I disagree. Not to mention the self deleting from the game and self harm stuff. Yes, that too. I love Wada Nohara and the Great Blue Sea. Uh, not gonna lie, that corrupted evil Wada Nohara awakened things in me. You absolutely evil bastard. Like, you know what had to happen for you to have that version of Wada Nohara? You monster. But anyway. Oh, I want to tap into this one. Monster Musume over the first game with Grape. I would sign up for the Monster Musume farms. Of course you would, you fucking degenerates. Uma Musume is just in my head because I'm playing as I'm watching. Fair, fair. Someone needs to think of a name for dark franchises with cute art. That blue purple hair lolly is so cute. Fair, fair. There's already a name, Gurokawa, from Guro Kawaii. Yes, makes sense. Not gonna lie, that Onimai is a bit of a stealthy dark, because the first episode shows how the MC had a heavy depression and complex about needing to be a good big brother. What happened to him? Help him escape from it, not in a very healthy way. It's basically about a man with depression because he failed what he deems his responsibilities and finding escapism in not being a big brother anymore, which was due the first episode, which I'm not gonna lie, made me hard to consume the rest since the initial theme was so serious and linked to the main part of the appeal. As the series goes on, it's less about escapism and more about him using that as a chance to become better, you know? So I'd say it's that initial premise is dark, but it gets progressively less dark and more ideal as the show goes on. But anyway, now let's continue. The God of Crawling Eyes is literally about cults sacrificing children. Like, it's literally about a secret cult manipulating a school from the shadows so they can sacrifice children to an evil eldritch entity. So yeah, I don't think I need to say any more than this. Uh, Number 31, To Kill a Fairy Tale. This one is essentially just Diet Black Souls without the grape and like with the world ending kind of theme. The world ending theme obviously makes the world like a lot more evil. Like, if you don't do anything, the world is literally going to end, right? So your uh so the point is that you have to do something about it in a very limited window of time. So everyone doesn't end up dead. And again, there's a lot of tragedy, a lot of implied, like, very dark things happening. Most of the world is like destroyed already, and a lot of the people are crazy. Um, and it's just a very hopeless world that, especially from the protagonist's perspective, as he keeps repeating, desperately trying to avoid bad things happening. um like you could essentially see this as like comparable to ReZero in terms of darkness, you know. So yeah, obviously it's more high up on the list than some of the other stuff. It's not about escapism. She really does grow as a person as it goes on. Yes, I agree with Muvalea there. It's not about escapism. It's about giving the protagonist, Mahiro, another chance to improve her life, essentially. It's essentially like a more uh it's essentially like a more gender bend and less isekai version of Mushoku Tensei, I'd say. It's about a person that ruined their life that suddenly gets a chance to do better, you know? It's my interpretation. Well, no, fuck my interpretation. It's just what happens, you know? Also about being trans. Honestly, this is something interesting about this. Like, we can. I think we should discuss this on another like podcast. But like, are gender bending stories really like they? I'm not saying that. How do I put this? There are trans stories in anime. For example, in what's the name of that show? Like Zombieland Saga. There is a canonical trans character, right? In Fate Grand Order, for example, we have Chevalier de Dion, right? Which canonically is, I think, either trans or non-binary. So these kinds of things do exist in anime, but I maybe the specific story of what is it? Onimai, like, is more, it's closer to like trend uh themes of transsexuality than other gender bending stories. But uh like, my point here is, are gender bending stories inherently like trans or no? You know, I think that's an interesting discussion. But anyway, if the question is, are gender bending stories trans, the answer is yes. Lol, cracked many an fucking. There are trans stories, but gender bend stories are more like about a life changing event, or well, if it's a change in self identity, like, well, Yojo Senki, no, like, Yojo Senki, I'd say that it's not like that. Uh, like, if the point is, again, let's stop this discussion right here. But because I feel like this is like going off topic again, we'll stop this discussion here. But it's something to talk about and discuss because it's a very interesting topic for another podcast. For now, we're going to keep on theme, please. And we are going to continue with the list. Okay, perfect. Moving on. Tower and Sword of Succubus. Like, again, it's just grape the game. Like, your protagonist literally beats enemies by graping them. Your enemies are trying to grape you. The whole game starts because of grape. It's just grape, 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 grape. It's just no, no. This is evil. This is evil. This is cursed. Moving on. Uh, Number 33, Mikoto's Diary. And yeah, this is literally about uh like very, how do I say this? It's literally the story of a family so abusive and emotionally like neglectful that they drive their daughter crazy, making it so that she essentially starves them to death. You know, it is literally like one of the darkest stories possible. It includes family abuse, family neglect. It includes mental illness. It like includes death, torture, and like a girl desperately trying to get someone to understand and to genuinely love her. It's a very dark game filled with very dark themes and very evil or at least traumatized people. You know. So yeah, evil, evil, evil. And if everyone is doing each other, doesn't it just enter the free real estate realm and more like a fight for down? No, because again, it's not a consensual thing. Like I really do mean grape. You know, like it really is unconsensual, all of it. Okay, like it isn't just a consensual thing of people competing to see who's down and who's top. It is literally just people trying to force themselves into each other. You know. So yeah, no, 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 no. That's evil. Just fucking evil. Sorry. Uh who okay, number 34, Makoto Mobius. This is just ReZero. This is essentially just ReZero if it took place in our world and Subaru like couldn't achieve a happy ending. It's about a guy desperately going back in time again and again to try to rescue this girl and failing all the time, getting her traumatized, like making her family situation even worse, or like failing to save her, or like having to trade her life for someone else's. Like, and the only way he can like truly save her without it actually like ending up in even more tragedy is by sacrificing himself. You know, like this is a very dark game. It's essentially ReZero if it was set in the real world and was way more depressive. It also features themes of again rape, family abuse, blah 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 blah. A lot of awful fucked up stuff happens in Makoto Mobius. So yeah. Number 35, Tsukihime. Do I do I really need to explain this one? Like so much of everything I mentioned up until this point happens in the story. The grape, the emotional and physical abuse, the family, like the fucked up family dynamics, the existential dread, people dying, like various people dying, like evil to the core villains, like various bad endings that can even result in end of the world scenarios. Like this is just like so much fucked up shit happens in Tsukihime. Like if you play all the routes, like there's a lot of people that can become evil, that are really evil, or that um like die or that get abused or etc. Warning, this user has only read RQA's. No, I know what happens with like twin maids and all the things involved in that. How like they were switched and how one of them was mentally broken by the abuse she endured. I know about like what happened to CL and the whole fucked up nature of her immortality. I know about like Shiki's whole thing of being pretty much sickly or stuck in bed, like straight up stuck in bed his whole life. Uh, right? And like even going crazy in a lot of the routes of the game. Know about the people dying. I know about Akiha like becoming evil in one of the routes. I fucking I was talking about my fuck. God damn it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. God damn it. Oh, thanks for the spoiler, Mr. Obscure. I'm so sorry, man. I thought you were talking about me. I was trying to... God damn it. Fucking... Oh, god damn it. I'm so sorry, man. I really am sorry. Anyway, moving on. You get the point. Blah, blah, blah. Number 36. Welcome, teacher. This is a game that has a lot to do with like themes of self-deletion from the game, of like criminals literally manipulating women into like what's the word? Into marrying people. Like we have a whole circle, like a criminal circle about in the game that is driving women to like enter arranged marriages, like manipulating them into that. We have evil spirits like trying to kill or manipulate people to kill other people. We have themes of self-deletion from the game, of depression, of people being driven to good people being driven to do horrible things. We got it all. The whole story is just insanely dark. Like the whole story of Welcome Teacher is insanely dark, you know? So yeah, continuing on. Uh, Number 37, Fate's Grand Order. Like everything that's missing is the grape. Like if you analyze it, so much awful things happen in like FGO, right? Like entire civilizations being just deleted from the map. Like people dying in the most horrible ways. Like whole alternate realities where like half of humanity is enslaved pretty much. Uh like eldritch horrors, like wars, like literal wars, body horror, like in the arc that we're in right now, in the like Lost Belt thing, right? It's essentially about the protagonist. He feels bad about it, but he essentially became Griffith. He's just stepping on like potential new worlds, like stomping out like their potential to exist in order to allow his world to be allowed to exist again. So he's just deeming that his reality is more important than everyone else's, no matter how much more ideal it may be, you know? So yeah, this is just insanely dark. There are worlds where humanity is devastated. There are worlds where they have been massacred for the fun of another superior species. There's just so many fucked up things that happen. Like again, there are good people, like heroes trying to sort things out, but it has a lot of moral grayness, has a lot of good people doing terrible things, terrible people doing good things. Like it's just insanely dark. And after arc 1, not even that ideal anymore. So yes, FGO is an insanely dark story if you actually take everything into account. Uh, but before we continue again, comments. Blah 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 blah. Okay, I already read all of this. I suppose it depends on how it's presented in succubus culture in the game. Like Drain Mansion, never played that, so I don't know. If both of them are trying to force themselves on one another, the consent from both is pretty much there. Uh, they just want to be the ones that get to. We'll stop this conversation there, okay? I don't want to get into it. It's making me actually uncomfortable now. What the fuck? Tsukihime isn't that dark? Ah, yes, since we're talking about fucked up IPs, Made in Abyss needs to be somewhere. I never covered Made in Abyss, so it won't be on the list. Despite it not being as fucked up in my list. Okay, so this is just me ruining Tsukihime for this person. Again, very sorry. Mainstream Type Moon stuff is heavily sanitized. You're by yourself on that one, big p. Goddamn. I think the evilest thing about FGO is that majority of the servants can't get pregnant. Oh boy, so that's a good segue into Nikkei, Goddess of Victory. Let me just put Bibliomania in like the recommendations list. Perfect. And yeah, like this much darker universe because like it's essentially FGO without the idealized parts. It's literally about this world that like where most of humanity has already died and the few people that remain are stuck in a like provably corrupt world, like provably like a very corrupt world where the government like is owned by corporations which can do whatever they want no matter how evil without punishment because it's for the greater good that they remain like this, right? We have criminal rings, we have discrimination, we have like a lot of people dying. We have various forms of discrimination now that I think about it. Uh, it deals a lot with, again, government and company corruption, like tragedies like family and child abuse, like of people being so desperate they turn to drugs or try to deny their reality. Again, so many people die. Again, insanely dark. Again, just insanely dark. Nikkei is like FGO without the idealism, without like uh, all the things that make FGO's world at least somewhat ideal. You know, like the Chaldea stuff. And also, what is it? What is it? There are a lot of good people in Nikkei, and a lot of the stories generally, uh, like end in either a bittersweet or at least a bittersweet, or if not a genuinely good and ideal way. But like that is the story of Nikki. The whole story of Nikki is about this very small amount of genuinely good people, this small light trying to triumph against the overwhelming darkness of the world, both in the form of the raptures and with the whole theme of humans are the real evil, but you know, the monsters are actually kind of bad as well. So yeah, Nikki is like a very dark world, I'd say. What else? What? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Number 39, NPC dreams. Again, just like with what is it? To Kill a Fairy Tale is about a world on the verge of collapsing and a person trying to like save that world. Uh, like it it's a story that ends in a happy ending, somewhat, with you saving all the people in the world and everyone ending up alive and able to like enjoy the world once more. But there's a lot of evil stuff that happens on to get that ending, like good people who you're forced to kill because like it's necessary in order to like be able to achieve this perfect world. uh like we have the implication, no, actually, yeah, we have the implication that many children died, you know, and like that their souls remain like ghosts, essentially wandering the world. Most of the people in that world have been turned to uh, either monsters or NPCs, like literal NPCs. Like canonically, they just do that. Like if you see NPCs in other games, like they just keep repeating the same lines to you like a machine. uh while canonically they obviously act like genuine people, right? They're supposed to be genuine people in the world. But in NPC dreams the title doesn't lie. Like most of the people in this world have either been turned to monsters, killed by monsters, or have become literal NPCs. Like their repeated dialogue and robotic uh like uh robotic personalities that are supposed to be canon, you know. There are few characters that aren't like this, but for the most part it's implied that most people who are alive became NPCs. And even those people that weren't killed, are a lot of them are suffering. There's a lot of like people who have lost their minds. There are a lot of people who, a lot of these NPCs who are suffering like physically due to the various evils, very physical evils affecting the world. There are very evil organizations that seek to hurt people just for the fun of it. And the protagonist himself is essentially a diet grin, where it is implied that he's been taking advantage of the fact that most of the NPCs are in this NPC like state and are women to do very like non-consensual things to them. And this NPC like state is not something that, oh, they are a blank slate, they are robots that don't feel anything. No, there's a genuine person essentially trapped there and being forced to be an NPC, you know. It's a very like existential horror kind of game. And the fact that the protagonist is like essentially taking these people against their will and they're able to do nothing about it due to the like states that they're in, it's just insanely dark. Like there is again there are again some good people trying to improve the world, to save it. uh there are some people who are trying to like prevent the world from dying. And the whole ending of the game is quite idealized too, with literally being an anime ending of the power of friendship, being able to overcome the evil bad guys, right? But the world itself by its very nature so fucked up, uh, uh, including like the very protagonist of the game, that I don't think I could realistically put this any lower on the list. But now, number 40, Menheraphlasia. And if you've seen my like playthrough of this game, you know like why it's in here. It's a more, again, personal setting and not a whole world, but pretty much everyone in this game, from the protagonist to the girls to the side characters, are evil, right? uh Like there are pretty much no good endings in this game. The whole theme is that the world is evil and miserable. Even people who seem nice are like deranged maniacs who will turn on you and do unspeakable things to you at the drop of a hat. Like the whole world is insanely dark with themes of depression and like unfairness and family death and family abuse again. And it's just not a good world. It's really not a good world to live in. Yeah. So yeah, continuing on. Number 41, Yanderella. Yeah, it's just Menheraphlasia, but with two characters this time, so everything I said applies here. And like at least Menheraphlasia at the end had a somewhat ideal ending, somewhat an ending where like people could be happy kind of outside that awful world. In Yandarella is just terrible. It's just tragedy central. It's essentially Menheraphlasia without the like one good thing that made it not that bad a world. Okay, so yeah. Number 41, Mixor. Again, just the same thing, just even worse. Since there are more characters and more evil people. And there are evil in even worse ways, you know? So, yeah. We have themes of bullying, of sexual abuse. Your protagonist is a lot more evil than in both the other games where he was already like not that good a person. He's straight up evil a lot of times in this one. Uh, just yeah, themes of obsession too, of swindling, of again class dynamics, just evil, evil. Number 43, Mogeko Castle. Yeah, you see those cute little guys. Yeah, they're all grapers. They're all little grins. They're all uh, uh like there's a reason why I made this my thumbnail because yeah, this is her reaction. All these cutesy little things are trying to grape this poor girl, and they are implied to be like especially into high school girls. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. As you progress through the castle, you will see like diseases that ravage the inhabitants, pretty much killing them while making their lives, the rest of their lives, miserable. We have for the protagonist again family drama, family death, family abuse, both physical and sexual, well, and emotional too. The whole game is just tragic, no matter which route you choose. Well, unless you go for some of the joke routes, but I don't think they count. And like so many awful things can like happen to Poyonaka in this game. And so many awful things do happen to a lot of the side characters too. Like a lot of people canonically are go out in good people too go out in awful ways. And yeah, they're just people characters even worse somehow than even the like mogekos, you know, which themselves are little grape monsters, right? So again, insanely dark, obviously. But now we're going to read some comments before we get into the last one, since it's getting really fucking late now. Anyway, there's a great horror manga that really should read. It has a lot of body horror. It's called Bibliomania. It's a really good horror manga. Where's the difference with the real world law? The difference is that in the real world, 99% of the population isn't dead. Uh, so imagine having to live in an even like darker version of the real world with a even more corrupt government, even more fucked up corporations, with an even like more unfair class system, like with even worse discrimination, and all of this occurring in a post-apocalypse. That's why Nikkei is much worse than our world, you know? It's just a real world with a misery modifier times two. I'd say times 100. But anyway, we don't have cute robot girls yet. That's it. I think you would really like PGR story. The start's a bit rushed, but not quite there. But after chapter 13, it kicks in a lot. It has a lot of misery, but it's so thick and lower. Mm. Given that one of the reasons for me disliking Arknights was exactly that it didn't have for me a good balance of like misery and cutesy or more ideal moments. Like it's questionable. I may give it a try sometime, but given the reason I dislike one of the reasons I dislike Arknights, I'm not I don't I'm not guaranteed to like it. Is what I'm going to say. Uh that it might be too much of a hassle to consume. I played it for years and haven't consumed everything. I'm only like 80% there. Punishing Grey Raven's motto is pretty much misery maxing. I'll not spoil where it happens, but just say that PGR is not afraid to kill, even who is taboo to kill in media to inflict misery. Okay, this will not be a spoiler without context, but to show how PGR is so dark, they made a child and his own misery. Yanderella classic. Defense of Mogeko Castle, Mogeko is wife material. Gamoro, do you just wanna die? Like seriously, I think like you're attracted to people who end your existence without a thought. Like you should really stop that. You should really value your life a bit more. And I think I see Mogeko Castle as less tragic than Wada Nohara because it doesn't really take itself seriously, different from Wada Nohara. Again, it not taking itself seriously doesn't mean that some of the things that happen aren't fucked up. It's the same thing with Monster Musume. It also doesn't take itself seriously, but let's be real, a lot of awful things happen there. So yeah, this doesn't take away from it for me. Maybe I am. Isn't it harder when they can instantly kill you? Speak for yourself, buddy. Valid placement, losing your sentience like that seems like a fate worse than death. He's talking about NPC dreams, so yeah, I agree, obviously. Is GFL or Nikkei darker? I'm not that familiar with GFL. I am aware of it more superficially, so I don't know. Is number one gonna be the Citadel? No. Fucker, you just spoiled it. Yeah, you got your revenge. Are you happy? Anyway, number 44, the dark side of Red Riding Hood. Again, pretty much all the things I mentioned here, right? There is no good ending. There are no good people. Everyone in this game is pretty much evil to the core. There are themes of manipulation, of cannibalism, of slavery and sexual slavery. Like even to children, like this happening. We have a lot of people dying in really awful ways. We have things of manipulation, of children getting lost and dying in the woods. Like we have like grape as well. Just we have it all. This game is just insanely dark with not an ounce of light to it. It's just a misery, misery, misery. I think someone put it pretty well. It's like PGR is misery maxing, just with a lot more of an edgy flair. Number 45, the Altered Beast remake. And yeah, pretty much everyone is dead. Like a lot of innocent people die due to like one jealous bitch. Like we have themes of human and animal experimentation and abuse. We have a lot of genuinely evil and like deranged people, like again sacrificing potentially thousands of innocents and condemning them to like a fate worse than death, to become mindless monsters, right? So we have themes of body horror. We have like government corruption and just an evil government in general who is doing secret war projects to try to weaponize mutated monsters. A government that essentially doesn't really care that a bunch of people just essentially got uh, like even worse than nuked. Again, insanely evil characters who do all this awful shit for the silliest of reasons. Uh, like this whole world is insanely dark. Like so much fucked up shit happens and nobody cares, or people are even relishing in the horrible shit happening. Like like in such a deranged way and for such silly reasons that yeah, I just had to put it here. Like imagine if in Nikkei, right, the raptures weren't just mindless robot killing machines. Imagine if they actually relished in like making people suffer because they found it funny. Like that's how insanely dark this is. The Altered Beast remake cover made me remember Mobius. Sorry, he's morbing. No, he's altering. He's altering. Fucking hell. Anyway, uh, number 46, Purgatory. Just evil all the way. Like torture, mass homicide, human testing, like the presence of evil monsters, manipulative like governments and criminal organizations, like evil scientists, like there's grape, or at least implied grape on it. There's a whole outbreak of these monsters where people die horribly in this universe. Um, we have demonic possession. We have again just a whole bunch of death. We have people manipulating the population and the protagonists. We have flawed protagonists who are really not that nice themselves, despite trying to make things better. Like just the whole 9 yards. Like just evil, 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 evil. Like to the nth degree. Like there aren't even really good people in the universe of Purgatory. Just people who want the world to be a little less fucked. Like we don't have real heroes in Purgatory. We just have people who are like, yeah, I kind of have to live in this world, so I have to do something so that the situation is resolved. It's not that I want to save people, and frankly, I wouldn't if I didn't need to, but like I kind of need to do that in order to live. The protagonist has some kind of halfway decent heroic scenes, but in general this is very much a world that tends to the darkness, to the whole people are literal demons. End of the spectrum. Like we have human trafficking as well, just the whole 9 yard. Everything bad that can occur occurs in Purgatory. So yeah. Number 47, Sayanote. do I do I need to explain this one? Like seriously. Uh, uh Humanity dies. Like humanity literally is entirely destroyed and turned into horrible flesh abominations, suffering like eternally. Like that's the canon ending of the game. We have themes of mental illness, of cannibalism, of rape, of body horror, of like uh, protagonists being driven to madness, doing horrible things because of it. We have themes of innocent evil, a whole lot of fucked up stuff happening. The mental states of people, like deteriorating, people in general doing horrible things for their own personal gain. Like, Sayano Uta is insanely dark. Like, there's pretty much no, again, heroes in this world. Just some evil people and some victims and some slightly less evil people who are doing fucked up things essentially just to survive. Yeah, anyone who's familiar with Sayano Uta, I don't have to explain why it's here. Let's be real. Number 48, Evangelion. Like with Sayano Uta, it's more of a like niche series, but like you all know Evangelion. Like I refuse to admit that someone watching the stream or eventually the video I'll make out of it doesn't know Evangelion, and if you do, you understand why it's here. Like maybe you can contest that Saya no Uta should be like higher or that it should be lower in some categories, but you definitely agree that Evangelion needs to be in one of the higher spots on the list. Like seriously, I'm not even going to bother explaining. Number 49, Black Souls. Again, it's like doesn't need any explanation. Like, especially if you're a fan of this channel, you know exactly why fucking Black Souls is here. And it already reached mainstream status enough that I don't think I need to explain it like with Evangelion. But just to give a brief rundown, it's essentially just NPC dreams, but without the happy ending. Like, take NPC dreams, uh, put a like theme of a repeating cycle and of madness and manipulation. Uh, put in a lot of existential horror and like existential dread, like this idea that you can do anything to break the cycle, that you're essentially at the winds of dark gods. Maintain all the rape, maintain all the grape, and like make it even worse, right? And just eliminate the happy ending. Like everything here is bittersweet to tragic. So yeah, I don't think I need to explain why it's at the second like spot in our list. Is Black Souls really worse than Evangelion and Silent Uta, though? I would say that the tragedy and suffering is worse on the others. Um, that's because Sayano Uta is outside of the ending, like a bit more contained in its misery, and like Evangelion doesn't have again, at least to the extent of the others, the grape. And in Black Souls, like the suffering is, I'd say, marinated, right? Like in Evangelion or in Sayano Uta, we have the like progressing suffering, but it's a suffering with an end. You know, you have it beginning, it getting worse, and it ending in a tragedy, right? In Black Souls, there is pretty much no end. Like obviously it ends at some point, but even after the ending, like the ending just implies even more tragedy. Like the tragedy doesn't stop with the ending, it continues, and it's implied to get worse. And to get to that, you have to go through various cycles. uh, where it becomes more and more and more hopeless to resolve the situation. And again, we have various in Black Souls. We have literal forces beyond humanity, not just seeking its destruction, but manipulating it and uh, like using its suffering for their own entertainment. Like we have literal dark gods from Lovecraft here. And the only reason we can get an ending in the first place is because some of the dark gods took pity on one particular human, you know? So, yeah, I'd say Black Souls is ever so slightly more fucked up and evil than the other ones. It may not have great, but that's Shinji. Don't remind me. Okay. What else? Oh yeah. And Big P already spoiled it. The slash Beyond Citadel. Let's be real. Like just the scene of your brother being tore apart by the angels of this universe would already qualify it for being here. But we also have like implied like unconsensual abortion. Like we have again lots of people dying in the most horrible ways possible. People losing their minds and like being controlled and forced to do horrible things, just like in NPC dreams, but worse. So we have it like the same existential dread than in NPC dreams, but now they're not the victims; they're the aggressors. We have humanity on the brink of extinction. We have a lot of people suffering. We have a lot of people dying. We have a lot of very fucked up things happening. We literally have a humanity that created that created its own artificial gods, and through that mistake was punished by its own hubris, right? Like things were already bad enough when they did that. But then when things like seemed like they couldn't get worse or like they were improving, like God himself sent his angels after he saw what humanity did and like just tore apart without any chance to resist uh like the ability for humanity to recover. He said, literally, God was so disgusted by our sins that he looked at us and said, "Yeah, this was a mistake. Let's clean everything. Let's wipe everything clean, and there doesn't even need to be a Noah this time. Just glass this entire planet." So yeah, Citadel is insanely dark with the very god of your world is disgusted by what you did. When you experience not one but two end of the world scenarios, one more fucked up than the other. Uh when you have so much death and torture and horrible things happening, yeah, it more than deserves it. Just by what the lore implies, by what we see, and by just everything that takes place in the world of the city. It's just fucked. It just evil is just tragic. It's just it earns its this spot on the list completely. You know. But yeah, with that, I think this will be the end. I think this was one of the longest, if not the longest, podcast stream. Granted, we pretty much did a combination of podcast with ranking, a pretty big ranking too, 50 fucking entries. Yeah, I hope that you liked it. And after I read some of the comments, we'll be finishing it. I think you might like PGR more because it's more digestible. There's a lot to consume, but Arc Knight's so verbose. Knights kind of bore me, not gonna lie, and I'm a fan of TD. Uh, I really like the dark side of Red Riding Hood. It's another game that awakened things in me with the things the FemC did. Not even gonna comment on that. Ah, yes, Saya no Uta. You don't have to explain it. Of course, Evangelion will be here. Black Souls mentioned the whole discussion. Uh, like I have foresight, you bastard. Citadel does deserve it. Then yeah, 3 hour stream. Good stream though. I'm happy that you all enjoyed it. But yeah, with that, finally, uh, we'll be ending things here. Thanks everyone for participating. Thank everyone for watching up until this point. And like, yeah, really good string overall. We even got some more things to talk about on the next podcast. So yeah, really good. But for now, I'll have to bid you all farewell. Bye.